He once answered to inmate P50522, trading red carpet flashes for prison fluorescents. Now the same whispers that crowned him Iron Man claim he'll storm back into the MCU, this time behind the cold metal mask of Doctor Doom. How does a man tumble from Oscar buzz to a cell block and still come out the rumored villain who could reset an entire universe? Keep listening. The wildest part of Robert Downey Jr.'s story begins long before the first superhero suit ever snapped shut. Picture a 5-year-old on a dingy New York soundstage, pretending to be a sick puppy for his dad's underground flick, Pound. The applause felt electric and addictive. That same dad, an indie film rebel already deep in his own vices, slipped the boy a little Zaza one late night in 1971. Robert was 6. The joint wasn't a one-off gift. It became their crooked father-son ritual, an unspoken bond forged in smoke and secrecy. School bells never rang for long. The family ping-ponged from Manhattan lofts to California crash pads, each move trailing camera cables and half-finished screenplays. Between auditions, Robert learned to roll props and, more dangerously, roll with the bottle Dad passed across dusty editing benches. By 11, he could rattle off film dialogue and pour a stiff drink with equal confidence. But the stage lights kept calling. Summer camp at Stagedore Manor sharpened his timing, cameos in Greaser's Palace and other Downey SR projects gave him pocket change fame. Yet every curtain call ended the same way: backseat drives through neon streets, radio up, air thick with Dad's Coca-Cola habit. Applause was sweet, the aftertaste was chemical. That spark of showbiz would soon ignite something far bigger and far darker. The next chapter? A meteoric rise that made Hollywood cheer even louder, right before the bullets began to fly. 30 Rockefeller Plaza smelled like burnt coffee, ozone, and desperation when 20-year-old Robert Downey Jr. hustled through the doors of Saturday Night Live. Lorne Michaels had just gambled on a younger, edgier cast for the 1985-86 season, and Downey, equal parts prep school charm and street corner mischief, was the wild card. The sketches bombed, ratings tanked, and by summer the network quietly erased his badge. Robert shrugged, called it comedy boot camp, and sprinted for Hollywood. Failure, it turned out, made perfect fertilizer. In quick succession, he stole scenes in Weird Science, True Believer, and prophetically, Less Than Zero, playing a trust fund addict spiraling toward ruin. The role was so raw that critics whispered he wasn't acting at all. Casting directors disagreed. They saw a chameleon who could bleed on cue. Audiences couldn't look away, and studio doors swung open. Then came the top hat. For Richard Attenborough's 1992 biopic Chaplin, Downey spent a year mastering silent-era slapstick, violin, even left-handed handwriting. The transformation was freakish. When dailies leaked, veteran crew members said they felt Charlie's ghost on set. The Academy agreed, handing him a Best Actor nomination at 27, proof that the kid from the flop SNL season had overtaken Hollywood's A-list on pure voltage. Money, headlines, and late-night limo rides followed like iron filings to a magnet. Yet even as studio chiefs toasted the next Pacino, Robert kept a different tally: how many Coca-Colas it took to knock the buzz down after rap. The crown gleamed, but the wobble was already visible to anyone looking past the red carpet lights. And soon, the wobble would become a full-scale crash. Transition. Success felt bulletproof until the bullets started flying for real. The mid-90s introduced 2 new co-stars into Robert's life. Chen and CK, what began as backstage refreshments escalated into round-the-clock survival kits. He called them his portable stunt doubles. Friends noticed sunken cheeks and jittery hands, but the box office returns still sparkled, so nobody yanked the alarm, yet. June 23, 1996. Cruising Sunset Boulevard in a black Ford Explorer, Robert blew a stop sign so blatantly that patrol cars flipped a U-turn. Officers opened the door and froze. The actor sat naked, sweating bullets, hurling imaginary rats into the night. They cited him for possession, cocaine, CK, and a .357 Magnum, but somehow let him drive home after booking. The tabloids printed the transcript like stand-up comedy. The studio insurance agents started sharpening their knives. 3 weeks later, on bail and still buzzing, Robert wandered into a quiet Malibu cul-de-sac, slipped through the wrong front door, climbed a spiral staircase, and collapsed into a child's bed wearing only boxers and a t-shirt. The stunned mother dialed 911. Headlines the next morning screamed, "Hollywood star tucks himself in next door." The mugshot, sunken eyes under disheveled hair, went viral before viral was a word. Probation followed, plus mandatory tests he kept skipping. In August 1999, a judge tired of broken promises, assigned inmate number P50522 and sentenced him to 3 years. Corcoran State Prison shaved his head, handed him orange scrubs, and locked him beside hardened lifers who'd only seen his movies on battered VHS. He served 15 months, chopping onions in the kitchen and memorizing Shakespeare under flickering fluorescents. Outside, the industry wrote obituaries in advance. One friend refused. Sean Penn, angry and terrified, literally kicked down Robert's front door, hijacked his car keys, and muscled him onto a private jet bound for rehab. Robert climbed out a window 48 hours later and hitchhiked to Lax, proving even Oscar nominees can make tragic drifters. By 2002, he was free but bankrupt, lugging a duffel bag between spare sofas, still radioactive to every studio accountant in town. Casting directors added an unspoken disclaimer to every pitch. "We want Downey, if you can insure him." Nobody could. And so the once golden child of Chaplin fame became Hollywood's most talented cautionary tale. A horror set in Montreal, of all places, became the safest place on earth for a man nobody would insure. Gothica needed him so badly that producers escrowed almost half his paycheck, money forfeit if he bylaid or binged. That gamble paid off in an instant when he locked eyes with the film's bright-eyed executive, Susan Levin. She saw sparks, he saw a lifeline. Dadding turned serious fast, but her ultimatum was blunt: me or the monkey on your back. The actor chose love, and for once kept his word. Sobriety demanded structure, so he threw himself into 12-step meetings by dawn and Wing Chun drills by dusk. Sifu Eric Orem redirected cravings into chain punch combinations, warning that missed classes meant broken toes. The threat worked. The student never missed again, and muscle memory began rewiring mind and habit alike. Clean but still radioactive on studio ledgers, he hustled for roles no one else wanted. The noir comedy Kiss Kiss Bang Bang paid scale yet lit up critics, proving his timing was sharper than ever. Festivals buzzed, insurance brokers frowned. He didn't care. The comeback engine was finally idling in the right direction. Transition. Sober at last, he had the spark, but Hollywood still needed proof he wouldn't torch the set. Director Jon Favreau had one picture in his head for Iron Man: cocky, damaged, genius. All roads pointed to Downey. Marvel's money men recoiled. One relapse could sink a $140 million launch pad. Favreau argued, negotiated, and finally wrung out a deal. The actor would take a shoestring salary plus draconian insurance clauses. The suits sighed and signed. On set, he was laser-focused. Morning meditations, afternoon Wing Chun in the trailer, zero excuses. When cameras rolled, Tony Stark felt less like a performance and more like post-rehab confession, flamboyant armor over a fragile reactor. Crew members whispered that the part seemed written in his bloodstream. May 2, 2008, Iron Man blasted into multiplexes, snagging $100 million its first weekend and $500 million overall. Overnight, the uninsurable mess became the cornerstone of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Headlines hailed casting directors as clairvoyant. Back-end bonuses and renegotiated sequels fattened his bank account, but the bigger win was unseen. Every insurer in town quietly deleted the red flag next to his name. Offers flooded in: Sherlock Holmes, Tropic Thunder, prestige dramas waiting in the wings. The man once locked out of studios now held the keys to the kingdom. The red and gold armor turned Robert Downey Jr. from comeback kid into certified box office monarch. The Avengers roared past the $1.5 billion mark in 2012, cementing him as the billion-dollar man and giving Marvel proof that its entire cinematic empire rested safely on his shoulders. While Stark saved the world on screen, Downey flexed range off it. Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes franchise mixed bare-knuckle brawls with Victorian wit and hauled in another $500 million worldwide, reminding studios that his name alone could sell tickets, even when the suit stayed in the closet. But 2020 served a harsh reminder that star power isn't bulletproof. Doolittle arrived with a $175 million price tag and limped out of theaters a projected $100 million in the red, its Dragon with Digestive Issues finale quickly becoming late-night meme fodder. Just months later, a louder conversation resurfaced. Downey's 2008 blackface satire in Tropic Thunder met a new generation of online critics. He doubled down on the film's intent, lampooning ego-drunk actors, but admitted the gag would be incredibly dicey if made today. The debate kept him trending, if not always applauded. Then came the detonation heard round Hollywood. Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. Downey's ice-cold portrayal of Louis Strauss flipped the charismatic genius archetype on its head and earned him the 2024 Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, his first golden statue after decades of near misses. With a fresh Academy seal and the MCU's treasure chest behind him, Downey closed the Stark era on his own terms, cashing out richer, financially and reputationally, than anyone who'd ever worn a superhero cowl before. In 2019, he launched Footprint Coalition, a three-pronged venture fund, media hub, and science engine designed to bankroll tech that scrubs carbon from air, soil, and sea. Investors saw the same relentless charisma that once sold movie tickets, now pitching algae reactors and biochar startups. The eco-pivot went mainstream with Apple TV+, the Downey's Dream Cars, 2023. Each episode resurrected one of his gas-guzzling classics, 65 Corvette, boss-level K10 pickup, and rebuilt it into an emissions-slashing prototype, blending shop grease with climate geek swagger. To put greener choices on kitchen tables, he co-authored Cool Food, 2023, a cookbook manifesto arguing that swapping beef for kelp or lentils can carve gigatons off our carbon ledger. No hero suit required. Grants to coral reef gene banks, equity in lab-grown meat firms, keynotes at COP summits, every move fed a narrative shift. Robert Downey Jr., once the most expensive liability in Hollywood, was now betting his legacy on saving the only set we all share. San Diego Comic-Con 2024 dropped a thunderclap. Robert Downey Jr. strode on stage in Dr. Doom's emerald cloak, yanked off the mask, and confirmed he would not resurrect Tony Stark, but instead rule Latveria in the next Avengers saga. Marvel's pivot is bold. Avengers, Doomsday, formerly the Kang Dynasty, hits theaters December 18, 2026, and began principal photography in April 2025 with the Russo brothers back in command. Studio sources say the entire Phase 6 hinges on Downey's Doom setting up the multiversal endgame. The casting lit fandom on fire. Is this Victor Von Doom wearing Tony Stark DNA from a torn-open timeline? Reddit sleuths argue Downey's face is narrative bait, theorizing Doom hijacks a Stark variant to infiltrate Earth 616's heroes before turning the tables. Speculation only intensified after leaks hinted at a surprise dual cameo, Stark AI guiding Riri Williams while Doom schemes in the shadows, teasing Downey in hero and villain form across universes. Marvel, as usual, refuses comment. Whatever the twist, the road points toward Avengers. Secret Wars on December 17, 2027, billed as a reality-resetting epic bigger than Endgame. Official listings already place Downey's Doom atop the cast sheet, flanked by the Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts. Asked about the chatter, Downey smirks, dropping only 3 words, "Never say never," before steering the conversation back to climate tech. Even in Full Metal, he keeps the cards close. From a 6-year-old puffing contraband on a grungy film set to an Oscar-winning philanthropist, poised to upend the MCU twice, Robert Downey Jr.'s life reads like a screenplay Hollywood wouldn't dare greenlight. He's cycled through Prodigy, Pariah, Avenger, environmental evangelist, and now rumored multiversal tyrant, each transformation riskier, and somehow more magnetic than the last. So the question lingers. Is Downey's greatest role still ahead, one he'll script off camera by proving the power of perpetual reinvention? Audiences, and perhaps the planet itself, are waiting for the next act.